Well, hello there. Welcome to a Power BI feature focus video. We're going to look at one great feature of Power BI, and that's the folder source today. My name is Greg Long, and I'm part of the business intelligence team here at Professional Advantage. So let's get straight into it. I'm just going to go through the what, why, and how. Simply put, the folder source in Power BI allows you to combine multiple files with the same format into a single data set within Power BI. There are multiple file types: Excel, CSV, text, JSON, and XML, and it loads all the files of the file type you've selected from that particular folder. Now, why would we want to use the folder source? Really, for two real reasons. Firstly, from a lot of customer work that I've done, they are unable to directly access the data source. So, for instance, that may be SQL or maybe from other web-based sources, and they just cannot access it. And the only way that they can access it is to download a report. And so they may also be unable, from an IT perspective, to access that. So it is really a great feature, and we've done it with a number of customers. The second reason is really they want to aggregate data together from the same file format. For instance, you have sales data that you download on a monthly basis, and you want to aggregate that together when you create your monthly reports. And so really, when we talk about the benefits of the folder source, it's really about time. It's really leveraging that do once only and aggregate all of those data together within Power BI. And I'm not even going to talk about the other Power BI advantages, such as the visualizations, the service, the Power BI service, and the mobility functions. Okay, so when we get to the how, what I'm going to show you is an example of an Excel budget where I've got a number of different budgets of different years that I want to upload and transform together. And so in this demonstration, I'm going to show you not only the combined parts, but also some transformation features, which are really awesome. So let's get straight into it. As you can see here, I have a folder on my PC. In this folder, I have 3 files. Now, they could be named anything, but I've just named them for the particular year. Within these files, essentially, I have monthly budget information for my managers with estate. And so it's not a normal transformation I'm going to do in Power BI. I'm actually going to upload the data, combine them, but also transform them and go through the steps in transforming them. And there are a couple of little gotchas which we'll go through. So what we're going to do now is to go into Power BI. Essentially, all we need to do is from the Power BI front screen, we need to go into the Power Query Editor. So I choose the Transform Data button. I go into the Power Query Editor. What I need to do here is to go to a new source. This just might take a bit of time to load in. But when I have the new source, I choose the folder option and choose Connect. From the folder source, it will then ask you for a folder path, and you saw that folder path. I'll just paste that in and go OK. What we see now is a listing of the files within the folder source. And you can see the various files that we had in there. And we come down the bottom here and we need to choose either one of 2 options. If we choose transform data, we're actually going to upload just this table here, which we don't want to do. We actually want to combine the files and transform the data. So we're going to choose combine and transform data. Power BI goes and looks at those files, and essentially now it should come up with a view of a particular file. And so when we come to this combined files window, we get a selection of the sample files. So Power BI wants either a sample file or a specific file to do the transformation, and then it will do the transformation over all of the files. I'm just going to select the first file. It's going to show me the folder in that file, and in that file, there was only one sheet. You could have multiple sheets, but just remember, it's going to only upload the sheet name you select for all three files. So I have an upload sheet in all of my files. I'm going to select that, and then I get a preview of it. So I'll just select OK. What happens now in the Power Query Editor is that there are two parts here, and we'll just go back to it. There are essentially two parts to the queries. Down the bottom is the combined table of all three folder sources. And you can see here that it looks pretty awful. It's not in the right format for us. Really, we want it in a tabular format with the dates going down. So that's the combined data query of the files. But up the top here, we have this transform area. And in the helper queries, we have a number of areas where Power BI is creating a function to actually transform the file. So if I now go into the transform sample file, you can see now that I have that particular sample file and the data from that sample file. And what I'm going to do is a number of transformations to get this in the right format, which will then apply to all the other files. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is actually I'm going to delete a couple of the one applied step that is getting in the way. So this one is automatically created. I'm going to delete the promoted heads, and then you can now see the exact file from the Excel. I'm going to have to do a couple of things. Let's do the first thing. Let's delete the first two header rows. Okay, so I'm going to delete the first two header rows, and that's great. I've also got an additional row of null values, and it's always good practice to remove these types of null values from your data set. So I'm going to come into this column 1, and I'm just going to select remove empty. That's going to remove all of the rows where it was null or empty within this column. So now I'm going to then start the transformation process of this actual data. I'm going to now then go and do the first row as headers. Okay, and so you can see here that not only it has promoted the headers, but it also has changed the type. Now we need to delete this step because it's hard-coded the column names, and we don't want to do that when I start to unpivot it, because the column names for all the other Excel files are different. So I'm going to delete that. Okay, and what I'm going to do is just a standard unpivot. So I'm going to then go and select my manager and state and go unpivot other columns. Okay, so you can now see here that I've got the data in the way that I want to. I've got the date and the value field. I'm actually going to change these to date and amount. And you can see now all of the steps: promoted, unpivoted, and renamed. So what I'm now going to do is go back to the combined file set. So what's going to happen now is all three Excel files are going to be combined in that format. But I've got a little bit of an issue, because you can see my little warning sign over to the left here. And what that is essentially the original data combined, and what's happened here again, there's a change type of this particular hard-coded header, which we don't want. So I'm going to delete that out. And now what you can see is the data for all three files combined into one. So you can see the source name, and that's a really great thing to have when you're trying to trace. So you can see I can scroll down here. So there's 2020, here's 2021, all of that data. And then I can do all of my final transformations. So I'm going to change this into a date, change my amount into a decimal number. I'm going to make my state text, my manager text, and my source name is already changed. So now that I have my data in the right way, I can just do some simple transformation. So I'll come back, close and apply. It's going to reload the data. So just let's wait for a bit for all the data to be uploaded, but I'm just going to do some simple visualizations. Right, so you can now see the fields coming up from my Power BI folder. I'm going to switch now to a blank tab, a blank sheet. And what I'm going to do is let's create a column chart. I'm just going to put my date in my axis. Okay, and let's just make that the date only. I'm going to put in my measures the amount, and it's going to automatically aggregate those amounts. So you can see there my budget amounts coming in, and then I can simply create some slices. I'll just use state and make that one a slicer as well. So what you can see here is I can now slice my information the way that I want to do it. And that's really simply how the folder source works. So if you want to know more about our Power BI feature focus, I'd suggest that you come online, go to our website, pa.com.au. Our feature focus are within our blog, so go to blog.pa.com.au or find us on any of the social media or YouTube. If you also want to contact us over the phone or by email, the contact details there. So I hope you learnt something today from the folder source, and if you want to know more about it or apply it in your own business situation, please contact us. And so this is Greg. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you at the next feature focus.